let's tell all the folks, how the hell do we meet? Like, how do we get to know each other? There's always more than two stories, but let's at least share our two stories of how do you remember your first impressions of you meeting me? This is about
Yeah.
10 years.
Whew. And by the way, you always leave good impressions. Thank you again, Andrew, for just allowing me to be honored to be on this conversation, this call. The great thing about it is uh, we actually started a nonprofit. We connected through a nonprofit. I was actually in 2010. I was in college at Rutgers University, Rutgers, Newark, and at the time I was looking for a part-time job while I was in school. Ended up at the Madison area YMCA, and that's how we actually got connected. It was amazing that a nonprofit organization would spark of an idea of another nonprofit, but um, yeah, that's actually how we connected. I was at the front desk, and one of the things that I do, especially as a people person, is I greet them and I stay connected with them, and I was doing closing shifts a couple times during the week. Funny thing was that Drew was actually one of the many guys as part of this consistent group of players that I would see throughout the week. And so I would try to do my best to help them out, but as much as possible. He would always come with a group of friends, and I'm trying to ask myself, like, how many friends you got, bro? He
Uh,
just come up with
too
like,
many,
oh,
too many.
it's like, yeah, can I get a guest pass for this one? I'm like, all right, yeah, like I got you. Like I try to help. So it was pretty cool connecting, and then we've been friends ever since because we would talk about basketball, we'd play basketball, we would just have different general conversations. It didn't even have to be about sports, but we stuck to the guy code, and probably within a month we actually had a pretty good relationship. So um,
Absolutely.
that's what started it all.
From my point of view, I always remember Greg behind the desk, right? And to me, like you were about 19 at the time, give or take, don't hold me to it. And I always had the group of friends that were always playing basketball religiously every week. So whether it was during the week or religiously Friday, Saturday, Sunday, whatever we did, uh, Greg was like the gatekeeper to make sure that folks could get in, and like whether he was helping the senior citizens that were working out during the day, whether he was working out helping the families that were going to the pool for swimming, or whether it was the people that worked out at the gym, or obviously the basketball group. There was like the early morning shift, and then we were like the night shift of folks. Um, I always remember Greg just being that personable person. Like everyone just was just enamored by him. That everyone always liked. He just was. There's certain people that I always say people always remember how you make them feel, and he was just very consistent with how he treated everyone. So it didn't matter who you were that was walking through the door. He was consistent with how he treated people, and I always admired that, and I always appreciated him. I definitely owe him some dinners and lunches for all the people he helped get in at the discounted rate of the guest of Drew. But basketball was our uniter. Basketball was our connector at the Madison YMCA. We grew as family because there was folks from Morristown, Chatham, Florham Park, um, East Hanover, everywhere in between, and some people from further distances from here outside of Morris County that would come to this YMCA, and it was like stages. Like I was a member of that YMCA since 1994. I stopped in 2012, and then eventually I came back briefly, a little bit, in the middle. But during that time, it was like high school for me, college, and then I was working in professional sports. So all of that was like my escape from reality, and it was everyone else's escape from reality in terms of competition. We were a family. We made sure we left the gym alive and not harmed. Like, there's definitely some rough fouls and different things that happen, but like we never were malicious where we wanted to take somebody out. Like we just said we need to play again next week, so we're not trying to take people out. We definitely competed and were that type of energy around each other, but there was a respect factor. And the one thing I always remember is when I'm about 10 years older than Greg, Greg was 19. I was around 29, going on 30. One of my other best friends, Fred, it was me and Fred 2-on-2 against Greg and this other guy, Ed, that's locally from Madison. And they were both around the same age, give or take a year or two. And it was the game that would never end. It was like win by 2, non-negotiable, win by 2. And it was just like we tie it, someone go up by 1. But there's a difference between your wind and stamina at the age of 29, 30 compared to a teenager or someone that's late teens. And Greg and Ed had endless energy, and Fred and I would look at each other like, these guys are just not going to die. They're not going to quit. I don't know what's going on. Like we need to end this because we are on our last leg. Like we're starting to see stars, and like this game would never end. But I always remember just like super competitive on the court, super athletic. Like you could have played multiple sports if you didn't. I'm sure you did. And it was just a very obvious thing where it's like, it's one thing someone's like, this is a basketball player. And then sometimes someone will walk in the gym is like, this is a wrestler. He's not a basketball player. He's a wrestler that was in the gym that's playing basketball. Like Greg is that multifaceted athlete, and we knew it. And he had the track and marathon stamina to go with it. And, like I said, it was something memorable in terms of having that experience and bringing us together as family. So that's just truly a blessing because like everyone has a story, right? So like, where does our story begin? It was the Madison YMCA. It was basketball. It was the continuity and camaraderie of that made us stay connected because I don't play basketball anymore, but we're still good friends, obviously. So that means a lot to me when you walk away from that space and you still hold on to those relationships.